Hello, good evening everyone. Hope everyone in good health. Welcome to our show. My name is Imam and I work for PT Xapiens Teknologi Indonesia as a business development. Together with me is my work colleague Lizel. Hi Lizel.
Hello, Mas Imam. Good evening, and good evening to everyone. I am Lizel Wijaya, and I'm also working with Mas Imam at PT Xapiens Teknologi Indonesia as the head of ERP Solutions and Services. Saya dari Filipina, and I hope it's okay to speak in English, Mas Imam.
Yeah, sure, no worries.
Okay.
All right, so thank you Lizel. Tonight we are going to have interesting topics, but before that, please watch this video.
Hello, this is Anna, and she's an accountant. She handles invoices, liabilities, and debts as her daily routine. One of her tasks is to get the invoice information like name of the company, invoice ID number, and invoice date, put in the spreadsheet, and email to her superior at the end of the day. Over the period of time, Anna finds her task time-consuming and repetitive. Frustrated Anna is finding ways how to reduce time and effort to complete the task. And there she stumbles into RPA.
That is the topic of today, which is Robotic Process Automation or RPA. So if you have followed our Instagram for past few days, you probably noticed that we are submitting some of the material relating to the RPA. So Liz and I are here tonight to discuss this, and Liz will give us some insight about this RPA. So Liz, I know that you have been working with RPA for quite some times. So what is RPA?
Okay, Mas Imam. RPA, which means Robotic Process Automation,
Sure.
is actually not a physical robot.
Okay.
Okay, it's not Asimo, the robot that you normally heard from Japan. It's not something like that. This is a robotic software, which is also normally called as software bots.
Oh, okay.
So probably in a simple term, it's a software sitting in your computer, automating your manual processes, repetitive and rule-based transactions. So it's like a digital assistant with the structured data. It uses instructions, logics, and scripts to perform the activities. So that's why it's somehow like a robot, because it's automating your processes.
All right, this is interesting. So this is not actual a robot, right?
It's not an actual robot.
All right, right. So we thought that it's a robot, so it's like there is a physical robot to do the process or something like that.
No, it's a software.
Oh, it's a software, all right. So when did actually the RPA started?
RPA emerged in 2003, where it was developed by Blue Prism. Also, UiPath is also developing something. Have also developed something. And they are actually the big vendors of RPA.
Okay.
And one of the product of Blue Prism was actually the outforce digital workforce.
Okay.
So in the BPO industry. So imagine in the BPO, there's an answering machine, right?
Okay.
And then you keep on pressing what's your account number, right? And then immediately before it goes to the actual person who will be answering your call, they have already get your profile. Because of the initial data that you have inputted during the first interaction with the answering machine.
Right.
And the one who processes the data from the answering machine going to the system and getting the profile of that customer is the bot.
Okay. So this is started in 2000 and then getting bigger and bigger right now, right?
Correct. So in 2003, they started with this software bot. They started the software bots, and they started evolving it by creating automation libraries.
All right.
Where it allows users to configure the bot on their own.
Oh,
so
I
that
see.
makes it more user-friendly and easier for the users.
All right. So speaking of the process and then all the automation. So how does it work actually?
Okay, so you have probably seen some recording applications, right? So it's quite similar with that one. It actually does a screen capturing and then mouse clicking. It captures also mouse clicking. At the same time, it can automate your workflows, even your reading emails and then sending those data to your applications, even opening a third-party application. And then it evolves with connecting now with artificial intelligence and some machine learnings.
All right. Oh, but you have mentioned about artificial intelligence and also machine learning. What is the difference between RPA, artificial intelligence, and machine learning?
Okay, I'm not an expert about AI and ML, right?
Sure, sure.
So, but then maybe just to give you a simple explanation. So, as mentioned, right, RPA automates your process, your manual process, and AI and machine learning is like the brain.
Oh,
Machine
okay.
learning is the one that reads the data,
All right.
and then AI, which is the artificial intelligence, is the one that is processing the data, processing the history of your data.
All right.
So let's say, for example, when you access a Spotify, you try to look for Via Valen songs. The next time you access Spotify, the application itself will recommend you that these are the other Via Valen songs. It's that particular activity of recommending you some songs is actually the AI. It's not the robotic process automation.
Okay.
And then another example is, let's say for example, you open up Netflix and then you started watching action movies. So let's say you watch some Avenger 1 and 2, and then later on when you access Netflix, the application itself will recommend you might probably want to watch Guardians of the Galaxy or Thor.
Okay.
It's because of the
The similarities or the similarities or maybe the one that I probably like, yeah.
Correct.
All right.
But that's the one that analyzing is the AI,
okay,
not
okay.
the robotic process, not the RPA.
Okay.
The RPA probably is the process of when you try to keep on searching every day this particular article in a
Okay.
newspaper, in a news website, something like that. So let's say every day you want to search related to what's the news in Indonesia,
Right.
then that is the process that the RPA could do.
Oh, okay, okay.
Not the one that will keep on analyzing that, oh, you might probably want to, when the moment you access Google, system will recommend you, oh, these are the news. That's AI.
All right. So RPA is more related to some of the repetitive tasks, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So you don't have to do the task repeatedly over the time, something like that, right?
Correct.
All right. Nice. So what are the examples of the process that we could use the RPA?
Okay. Probably on our company, what are the processes that we could automate in our company? There's a lot in the market that are doing a lot of products when it comes to invoice processing.
All right.
Because typically invoice processing is very rule-based. Because let's say, for example, the layout of the invoices are always similar, the templates from the vendors. There's
Right.
always an invoice date, similar with the video that
Yeah.
you have shown earlier, right? So there's always invoice date, there's always invoice number, and then which company it is, right? So this type of templates can actually be automated by having the system read the data, and then after that, populate this information to your workflow for
Okay.
an approval process. Let's say probably with an amount of more than 1 million USD should be approved by a higher
Yeah.
higher authority, right? So it could go with a workflow, and then
Yeah.
after that, once it's approved, it accesses your, let's say, SAP or ERP to process that, create an invoice transaction inside your ERP. That's one example. Another example related to our IT department. This is very important because we normally a lot of other companies are doing an extraction of data from their system. And after they extract the data from their system, they normally check, is the data that have been extracted from one system to another system is the same. Let's say the
Right.
number of records are the same, is the number of tables the same, right? So in an example, like in our company, it takes 30 minutes to an hour to do this every morning by
Alright.
one person.
Right.
So imagine if this process can be automated and could actually take 2 to 5 minutes in a day. It's a very big change. It's like a dramatic change in your processes, which is making your job more efficient.
All right. So does it mean there is no human intervention on the process itself?
Oh, okay. So there are different types of software bots.
All right.
Okay. The first one is what you call the attended bot.
Yeah.
So an example of this is the process starts with you manually open the screen first, and then you trigger the workflow of the bot. And then probably at the end, you check if it's correct or not. So that's a typical attended bot. The second one is what you call the unattended bot. This is where you created a background job,
Okay.
where you set, let's say for example, every 6 a.m. in the morning, it will trigger to start the bot to function, to do the workflow, read the data, and then send email, all of those things,
Right.
doing all the scripts. So that's an attended bot. So two things. It could also be combined.
Okay.
So there are also cases where some companies implemented both in one process. Let's say it requires an attended and an unattended bot. It could be like that.
All right. So I think with this process, you can save a lot of times, right?
Correct. Very efficient. It's really true that it could make 80% of the efficiency, as long as you really use the bot, or I mean you have really defined the correct process on that particular bot.
So the change could be dramatic, right?
Yes, correct.
Oh, right,
It's
right.
possible.
So speaking on the dramatic change, so what are the benefits of using the RPA actually?
Okay, so besides that efficiency, of
Yeah.
course, right, and productivity, because you make things you do things faster because of the bot. Definitely cost efficient as well, right? Because cost efficient, not in a way because you're removing humans and then you're using bots, but it's because of, let's say for example, you're lessening training cost, because instead of hiring another person to train someone, there's already this bot who could actually perform everything.
Right.
And when it comes to efficiency, bots could actually work for 24/7,
All right.
right? Unlike a human person
Of course.
who needs to rest,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay. And then what else? Of course, improve customer and vendor engagement,
Okay.
because definitely there's no delay.
Yeah.
And then consistency,
Oh, okay.
right?
Okay,
Because if, let's say, for example, copying a field with 10 zeros and then you miss 1 zero when typing it in the system,
so
right?
yeah.
Bot will definitely not have that kind of error.
All right.
So consistency is really, persistent, or accuracy is there when it comes to robotic. And then lastly is agility, business agility, because implementing robotics is non-invasive.
Okay.
Non-invasive because it's actually on top of your ERP or your other application systems. For you to be able to implement RPA, you don't need to do drastic changes in your existing system. You just have to, identify which particular process that your bot could do on top of your ERP. So that's why it's really good when it comes to implementation. Very, how do you call it? Agile.
Okay, that's great. Why do you think that RPA is becoming hot topic now?
Okay, so I think it started way back 2 years ago,
All right.
where President Widodo actually was campaigning about Industry 4.0.
Okay.
Okay, but I think 2 years ago, and until probably last year, I didn't see companies, having the urgency to transform
Okay.
the automation. So probably that's just the stepping part of it. But I think the real reason that why it's being a hot topic right now this year is because of the pandemic.
All right.
So I was actually surprised when I was in Singapore, and we have this big client, and to find out that they are still doing a lot of manual and repetitive tasks. So it means that even them were still not adopting automation.
All right.
So I think after this year, because of this pandemic, they have just also started, I mean, the top management will have already decided to do all this automation when it comes to their processes. So typically for that big kind of company, what triggers them is pandemic. So
All right.
I felt like it's actually the push that made companies now to think of automation, and which is where a lot of companies now started putting up this RPA services as well. And
Alright.
good thing Sapiens was actually doing RPA service right now.
All right. So, Sapiens doing the RPA for clients right now?
Yes, actually, Sapiens have already some projects that have already kicked off, have already started doing some workflow automations, and typically more on hopefully this coming year. Yeah, it will be a good projects. There will be a lot of good projects for us when it comes to automation.
All right. So, I think you have mentioned a while back that there is some RPA tools that we will review it or something like that.
Oh yeah, we plan to adapt some RPA tools,
Yeah.
but probably we have to do some assessments. So one of the tools that we are currently assessing is the Microsoft Power Automate,
Alright.
and also there's one more which is the SAP IRPA. This is quite new, so hopefully, yeah, on the next session we could actually do the review of these applications.
Wow, that's great. That's great. So, I think since we don't have that much time for tonight, so maybe we can have the next session we talking about or we discussing about the RPA tools, right?
Sure,
Alright, right.
Maximum would be great.
All right. So, Lisa, thank you for your time today. Giving your insight about the RPA tools, things and all your experience with the RPA. So,
Thank you, Mas Imam, and thank you, everyone. Thanks for having me here.
so thank you everyone for your time tonight. If you have questions or comments, please contact us at hello@sapiens.id. Also, you can follow our Instagram at sapienstech for our updates. Have a good night, everyone. See you again in our show.